And yet, as always, guys, this is your room. So I want to hear, especially from those that are here on time, what are your takeaways from this conversation around faith that Napoleon Hill has? Who wants to speak up first?
I'm ahead. I read auto suggestion last night.
Look at you. You're ahead of the class. Save that for tomorrow, Carrie. Julianne, the floor is yours.
Okay. Give me a break here, though, because here I gotta find it. All right. I think in the half of the chapter that I had read, it was a lot of it, and I'm reading the original manuscript version, and it's a little rambly, and so I'm actually going to read my other version as well on this one. But I think really, he's really trying to put into us the definition of faith and how to get it if you don't have it. This really, all these different words that he's using. I think how to develop faith. Faith is a state of mind which may be induced or created. And I think this is one of the most important parts because it is directly speaking to everybody that you have the power to create the faith you need to get where you're going. He uses affirmations or repeated instructions, and easing into the next subject, which is auto-suggestion. And my note here on this one is that Tony Robbins, I'm sorry, I don't have the right glasses on today. And so I was like, I got to put them up and down. Tony Robbins calls it incantations. So he's taking affirmations one more step up by having affirmations infused with physicality to intensify.
So let's make sure we really deep dive on this piece tomorrow, because incantations are definitely part of that auto suggestion.
Oh, is it? Okay.
But I want to bring us back, though, to this faith piece, because I almost tweaked the language in here. Faith is a state of mind which is induced, created by affirmation or repeated instructions. And it's what lives in the subconscious mind. So the language, as I've told you guys many times before, the language I hear you use is your subconscious speaking. And that tells me what your faith, what your belief, what your attitude, what your energy is. And as we go into tomorrow, this auto-suggestion piece, the language we intentionally use, including through auto-suggestions or incantations or affirmations, is how we reprogram that subconscious. And just on this, on getting this faith in the next section that he rolled into on how to develop faith, any impulsive thought which is repeatedly passed on to the subconscious mind is finally accepted. Notice, any impulsive thought which is repeatedly passed on to the subconscious mind is finally accepted and then acted upon by the subconscious mind. See, your conscious mind is the goal setter. We've talked a lot about goals, dreams in this room, and we use our conscious mind even as we are right now. The conscious mind is the goal setter. The unconscious mind is really what's being the goal getter and making it happen. And until you get those two in alignment on that dream, you're going to stumble, you're going to struggle, you're going to have these moments, it's going to feel difficult. This faith piece is the first step.
Yeah.
Who else?
I think also on that note, Coach, we're talking about word choice. I wrote the words word choice matters for one of the paragraphs there. Repetition of affirmation of orders. That key, I highlighted and circled. Affirmation of orders to your subconscious mind is the only known method of voluntary development of the emotion of faith. There's many ways we get programmed involuntarily, number one. And number two is word choice matters, that the affirmations that he's talking about are not affirmations of hopes and wishes, is my note at the bottom of that page. that.
Awesome.
So thank you.
You are welcome, and thank you. Who else has got some insights from chapter 3, faith?
I'm going to add something.
Awesome.
I love this chapter. I felt like for the first time I was listening without filter to what was being said. And this idea of you're programming what you believe by even the words you choose makes me aware that one of the things I'd like to do is create a recording of what I want. As Ryan said, be specific. Be super specific on what is it you want and how is it going to happen. And also the choice words of what are you saying to yourself. Record it and listen to it twice a day, once in the morning, once right before bed. Your subconscious mind will be listening to the things that you just told its being while you're sleeping. And if you believe, I really mean, like, I just can't say enough about this idea of having faith in what you are doing, what you want. Because if you don't physically feel that desire from your soul, that's having faith, by the way, then you're really kind of going at it with a forked plan. You don't really know which direction you're going. And I love this chapter. I think it was very, very powerful. And I also listened to this chapter with the mindset of when we listen to kids and they tell that they can't do something, it's like it kills my spirit because I'm hearing them discount what they could be or do.
Yeah, well, the intriguing part of that is when we see kids do it, it does break our soul. We go like, really? Come on. You're capable of anything. You can be anything you desire to be. And yet, as adults, we do the same thing to ourselves at a very, very high level. In fact, I see each and every one of you as $1 million GCI producers. The fun part is, if you wrote down an affirmation, I am $1 million GCI, $1 million a year GCI producer, how many of you, your subconscious would say, oh, no, you're not? Because it's so deeply ingrained, this history. So here's where I want to go into the content on this to be key. Because we actually get to deceive our subconscious. Our subconscious has no filter, right, wrong, good, bad. If it hears something over and over enough, it believes and agrees. And I usually say at this point, but now he's dead, so let's not quite go at this point. A year or two ago, if O.J. Simpson took a lie detector test on if he was involved in those murders, would he have passed? And I would say yes, because he had told himself so many times that it truly became his belief. Mm-hmm. We've seen that time and again. So let's get into the content, because your belief or faith is the element which determines the actions of your subconscious mind. And there is nothing to hinder you from deceiving your subconscious mind when giving it instructions through autosuggestion, which we'll get into in deep. And remember, he puts in there, I deceived my son's subconscious mind, as he was getting his son to believe that he could hear, even though he had no elements of hearing structure in his head. To make this deceit more realistic, conduct yourself as you would if you were already in possession of the material thing which you are demanding when you call upon your subconscious mind to manifest. How we talk about already act like. If you were $1 million a year producer, would you already be on the phone all day, every day? Because you know that's who they are. By the way, being $1 million producer, do you think they read and grow themselves every day? You guys are already doing it. How cool is that? Continue to live like that which you desire, and magically your subconscious start believing and manifest it. Client, the floor is yours.
So I'm going to get a little political in regards to the election that just happened, and I'm going to do this solely to effect my point. Our incoming president, whether you understand what he's doing or not, his belief structure is such that he is able to tell himself exactly what he is going to believe, what he believes, and he does a fantastic job of convincing quite a few people of that fact as well. And I'm not dealing with right or wrong here, I'm dealing with what the book is dealing with in regards to belief structure.
You're dealing with a level of faith, client. And here's the fun part. How many other political figures for the highest office in the land have lost and come back and run again?
Not in that capacity.
In the last 100 years, the answer is
I think
zero.
it was 3. Oh, that's 100 years. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, in the last 100 years, it's zero.
Yeah, that's true.
They didn't have the faith. They didn't have the belief. Talk about unreasonableness, where it's never been done in the last 100 years. Again, I go back to Elon Musk, that unreasonableness of faith. Just like in the book with the V8 engine and Henry Ford, his designers told him it was impossible to create a single block V8 engine. And he goes, I appreciate that. Now go do it. They work 18 months. We've been unable to do it. Fantastic. Just go do it. There was no margin for error in his faith. And we see that time and again in people that succeed at a high level. They have that faith. And here's the fun part, guys. You didn't see all the steps that got them there, where the faith existed when things were ugly, when things were hard, when things weren't going right. You only see them when they're on top of the heap and you go, okay, it makes sense they had faith. It's actually the faith that got them there. Client, I see the finger.
So in closing, what this chapter tells me is that there's a synergy that we have often separated. We have said faith is this spiritual thing over here. It's way over here. And then we've had this big wall of separation. And then this thing called my belief structure way over here. And what this chapter is telling me is that no, they're one and the same. They're one and the same. And how you merge them and how you meld them together is what determines your ability to be success. And so what this is doing for me is this is taking my quote unquote faith and I'm dragging it over here because, you're not supposed to be wealthy. You're supposed to be faithful. You're supposed to be spiritual, not wealthy. And I'm dragging
That's all that
this over
story.
here. Right.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And then I'm dragging this over here, this belief structure of how I'm supposed to be this person at work, and I'm melding them together. So
I got to bring in
this chapter was crazy for me. This chapter was crazy.
Yes, it is. This faith piece is crazy. And I got to bring in one of those in our space that I've seen him at least preparing. So I'm optimistic he's ready to go. Mr. Don Hobbs, love having you in here on Always. I've been watching you playing on Think and Grow Rich with us and being here as part of this room. And by the way, Don, there's a method to my madness. Don't worry. Brother, what have you got here from this conversation around faith and how important it is? Because you've watched so many people in your entire life who have been the leaders in this stuff.
Yeah, I think first of all, interesting stuff, this faith. And to be honest, it was really interesting to hear your interpretation, client. Not right or not wrong, just your interpretation of it was really interesting because what I heard was faith is this religious thing, this spiritual thing. And it certainly is used in that context. But I think I would say that faith has to do with, there's a part of faith, and the word I want to have you throw out or put into your, not throw out like get out, but throw into our conversation is knowingness. And another one is certainty. So is certainty not just the faith of knowing? So my thought for you guys is that we first of all, I'm reading this book for the 58th time. I have no idea how many times, a lot of times. I'm reading this book again, and I have never even equated faith in this context to spirituality. However, that said, is there not the spirit within that we have faith through, not in, but through faith through that who we are is bigger than the physical person that's sitting in front of us right now on video, that we're bigger. What did, Gary was oversimplifying, always saying, Gary Keller was always saying, I'm a spiritual being having a physical experience. So if that's true, and I'm here, how does that translate into these etheric pieces? And faith is one of those. So let me tell you this, Russ, to your original question. What I read in the book and what I'm seeing is, even in the midst of failings, not failure, failings, even in the midst of not achievements, we still have to hold the faith. And if you look at anybody who has achieved anything, I don't care if we watch the Olympics in the summer, I don't care if you look at my buddy Tony Robbins, I don't care which Elon Musk, take anybody. Have they had setbacks? Absolutely. Fact. They're in life. How do I know they've had setbacks? Because they're in life. Nobody has a straight path to success. It's always up and down and up and down. It could be down, 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 up, down. It could be that, right? It could be that. The path is never certain, but what we are sure of is that through faith, we keep that movement forward. And I loved your example from the book, Russ, about Henry Ford, because there was no instance for him to not have that happen. There was no way he could not have that happen. He was certain. And that's why I wanted to equate faith with certainty, because I think, guys, certainty is the depth of faith. I know what I know. I know it's going to happen. I don't know how it's going to happen. I mean, Edison, I think his loose quote around that was something like, I finally ran out of ways that it didn't work. It was kind of like, I know it's going to work. I just got to get through all the mistakes and all the ways it's not happening to get to the reality of how to make it happen. And of course, he was one of our greatest inventors, because he so often came up against didn't work. But I know it's going to work. So I just stay the course. And I think for all of us, especially in the business of real estate, where we have these highs and lows that are related to the outside world, what's going on out there, what's going on with interest rates, what's going on with politics, what's going on with economy, what's going on. That's why, I've coined that phrase. It doesn't matter what's happening in the economy. It's what's happening in your economy, because it's your faith and direction and focus that really matters. So I'll slow down there just to stop and say that's kind of my thoughts around this topic, because I thought this is one of my favorite chapters.
Well, that certainty piece, Don, man, it just continues to manifest itself through failings. I love that word instead of failure, failings, because it's a transient activity. And you're on the path to a high level success if you are failing. Think about this: fail often, fail fast, fail forward. Those three, baby. You keep that going, magic is going to happen. Celeste, I saw you, and then client, you're up. And then Justin.
I was just going to piggyback on everyone. I really, so I have a quick story, and this is just to summarize. I'm 5'8". In my childhood, I was still 5'8", and I loved gymnastics. I lived and breathed gymnastics in my mind and in my heart. And by the time I was a senior in high school, I actually was able to do tricks like standing backflip. all by myself. And if someone else had said, one day you're going to learn how to do that, I would have said, no freaking way. But believe me when I say there was nothing that was going to stop me, because I knew I was there. I knew I could do it. And where I believe this chapter comes through to me is you can do anything if you are willing to make the time and effort to make that happen. That's my story.
Clint, you're up, brother.
So just really quick, if you guys look to the chat, you'll see I pulled up the definition of certainty. It's something certain. Yes, this is the deep part of this. It is an assured fact.
Yes,
Think about that, you
we
guys.
don't use. I saw your post on all. That's a circular definition. So let's eliminate
Circular
the first
I
part
don't
and
even know what
just
that
go straight
means.
to an
What does that
assured
mean?
fact. Absolutely. So Nafritha, I see on the list. I'm going to Justin first, and then Nafritha. Justin, are you working, brother?
He's trying to push the button.
Mike's still off. Nafritha, the floor is yours, and then we'll get to Justin.
So some things that stood out to me with reading this book, faith, determination, and will. And listening to Don, I added to my list certainty, right? And I think this is it seems like to be the same sheet of music that we keep hearing repeatedly from all of the content that we keep picking up, right? That pig-headed discipline and determination, right? The will to quit even when people tell you no, right? Driving with this idea when nobody else can understand or even comprehend what your thoughts are. And I think the biggest thing of all is application, right? It all depends on your degree of understanding and application of it, right? So if we like the quote that I mentioned the other day is another part of it in a way in this poem. It says, the one who wins is the one who thinks he can. So if you think you can, you can. And if you think you can't, you can't. Right. But it's all the power within ourselves, that power that we can foster, right? That we can create, that we can learn. Because this is like Julianne said in the beginning, this book is telling us that even if you don't have faith, there's still hope. Because then you can practice these things to implement faith and it become a real thing until now it's tangible. And so a few things that jumped out to me. All impulses of thought have a tendency to clothe themselves in their physical equivalent, right? So that means whatever it is. And it tells us more than once that it doesn't have to be positive or negative. It literally is whatever you think, whatever you suggest. Another part says the subconscious mind will translate into reality a thought driven by fear just as readily as it will translate into reality a thought driven by courage or faith. So that tells me that I have a choice, right? Which we always have. And I guess I could add that to the list too, choice. Because that's another word that keeps coming up. We can choose to keep our lives like this. We can choose to stay in this state, or we can choose to do something different. But it all relies in what we want to do, what we think, and it all starts in your mind. And then at the end, I thought it was so nice that it says, riches begin in the form of thought. Right. And that's why we talk about, Coach Russ says all the time, like people that always talk about money being evil is usually the people without it. Right. And then another thing, even when you said that the other day, I thought, how often do we take a thing that we hear and run with it, even when it's not accurate? Because we hear people say that the Bible says money is the root of all evil, but that's not even what it says. It says the love of money, right? But we just say love of money is the root of all evil. We don't want it. We don't need it. We shouldn't have it because, oh, that's going to be negative. But that's not even true. So it's just a few things, like riches begin in the form of thought. The amount is limited only by the person in whose mind the thought is put into motion. So it doesn't matter what anybody else think. It's all about what do you think. And then at the very end, it says, there are no limitations to the mind except those we acknowledge. Both poverty and riches are the offsprings of thought. And I just thought that was like so magical.
Well, Frida, I also love that you put in here, and I want to make sure we anchor it for everybody, this part of choice, because that's 100% in your power. Every one of you has the ability to choose. And by the way, make choices that are truly goal achieving. Make choices and attitude of faith. You have a choice every step along the way. One of my just make me ill statements I hear sometimes from people who are digging their heels in. Well, that's just the way I am. You are not a tree. You are not stuck in one place. You are a human being. You have the choices to make your life better. Justin, did you get that audio fixed? I want you to close us out if you did. Let's hear it.
I think so. Test, test. All right. So I wanted to go back to what Don was talking about, faith, and if it's faith in ourselves or a higher power. And Russ had like closed out before he called us up to speak, saying that's when the magic happens. I hadn't noticed it, but you say that quite often, and I like that. And I think we start right at the very beginning of this chapter. Faith is the head chemist of the mind. When faith is blended with vibration of thought, the subconscious mind instantly picks up the vibration, translates it into its spiritual equivalent, and transmits it to infinite intelligence, as in the case of prayer. The emotions of faith, love, and sex are the most powerful of the major positive emotions, and when all three are blended, they have the effect of coloring the vibration of thought in such a way that it instantly reaches the subconscious mind, where it's changed into its spiritual equivalent, the only form that induces a response from the infinite intelligence. I think that that could loosely be construed as magic.
Yeah.
So that yeah, this is awesome stuff. I'm so grateful to be in this space and sharing it with all of you.
Nice. And I really appreciate you bringing this in. Faith, love, and sex. I really want to do a deep dive on sex. Gosh darn it. We're at the bottom of the hour, though, so we don't have time. That being said, guys, love that you're here. Love that we are doing this together as always. And today, Central, 12 to 1, I'm back in this room with the first mastermind around financial freedom. We're getting back to getting our financial life in order, doing our financial freedom from 12 to 1. Don Hobbs, rumor has it 1 to 2, there's something else going on.
Actually, from 11 to 1 Central, we're doing the welcome meeting, the Epic Road to Success welcome meeting. And it's the first time we've done it in a 2-hour format so that we can actually get people into everything that they need. So if you've got somebody who is new to our world, please get there with them. And to the extent you can around the financial meeting, be there with them.
Well, hold on. Let's time out this a moment, because I was under the understanding you had something else 1 to 2. Maria.
We do. We
Can you help
have
me out?
our model explained from 1 to 2 every Thursday.
So today's special day, by show of hands, let's postpone 1 week our financial freedom so we can all be in there to learn all the pieces of everything we have to help people produce at a high level. You guys okay with that? All right.
Really?
So that's
sure?
what we're going to
Okay.
do. We're good. So Don Hobbs, there will be no financial freedom today. We're going to push it off 1 more week so we support this room. And guys, get in there because there's so much more now going on. Like Don said, we had to go to a 2-hour time slot to educate you on all the ways that if people will just plug in, man, they can produce at an amazing level. All right.